Okay, welcome to the 2022 NJCL Certamen Advanced Finals. We're going to start with some introductions, if that's all right. My name is Michael Gurney. I'm originally from Wisconsin, and I'll be your moderator for today. I'm going to have my staff introduce themselves from left to right, and then we're going to have the players introduce yourselves, again, from my left to my right, by your name, your state, and your high school. Okay? Starting with Tennessee.
I'm Alan Zoo, I'm from Tennessee Virginia School. I'm Wyatt Road, I'm from Rockville High School.
I'm Benjamin McCarty from Piedmont High School.
Massachusetts.
I'm James Kelly from Baltimore High School. I'm Tyler Hogan Northacker from Boston High School. I'm Alex Hughes, I'm from Massachusetts and Boston High School.
And Florida.
Robert Meade, Florida, from Baltimore Associates.
I'm Ben Montalvan from Holy Trinity.
Okay, now that you've said your names, we're going to double check them against your name tags. Let's make sure they're the same people. Everyone's got them? Yes. Okay. Our scorekeeper has the score sheet. We're going to start with a buzzer check. Can I have all the ones buzz in, please? All the two? It was the fours. C3. Now the fours. And everyone from team B. B3. We have a broad team of moderators today, down to my left. In the pit, as it's called, they're going to be the ones adjudicating challenges. As we mentioned before, if coaches have any challenges, they can be addressed to Mr. Ken Andino, who will raise his hand now. But if you have challenges up here, which you're welcome to make, you should direct them to me or to Mr. Soto, and we'll note them down appropriately and adjudicate them. Any questions about that? These moderators, as well as Mr. Soto, will also be watching for consultation. For instance, if there's a visual question, you cannot look at each other on the visual question. If there's any other questions, no nonverbal consultation of any kind. The audience should be quiet for the duration of the match, with the exception of the score checks after 5, 10, 15, 19, and 20, when they can go wild. I have passed out copies, or rather Mr. Soto has, of all the Aurelia passages, and I'm going to read that for you now. Here we go. Aurelia, cui urbs placebat, erat in Aegypto cum familia sua ingenti et equo suo. Tredecem ludos magnos Iovis in amphitheatro Alexandriae spectabant, tandem hic equus iratus domum recurre coipit, ehu. Any questions about pronunciation or the like? Okay, none? Who's the captain of each team, please? Raise your hand. We've got A2, we've got B2, we've got C2. Nicely done. I'm to remind all players and all coaches that all challenges for the first 19 questions must be lodged before we move on to toss-up 20. No protest may be filed after that point for those questions, and they will all be adjudicated before that final question is read. Do any players have any questions? Yeah, can we have some pencils or pens for Florida, please? From the Florida coaches specifically. Unless Massachusetts or Tennessee wants to donate some, they're welcome. Do they work? You sure? Okay, I'm going to start this round with a content warning, okay? The study of the humanities often challenges us as we examine the full range of the human experience. This Certamen round contains mention of human trafficking, violence, and other difficult content. As always, take care of yourselves and reach out to your chaperones and sponsors if you need to talk about the content. Anything else? Okay, deep breath. This is 2022 NJCL Certamen, Advanced Division, the final round. Here's toss-up 1. More often than not, the contingent of moderators running this tournament dislikes challenges. Some moderators, however, enjoy a good challenge. Describe...
How about the
That's incorrect. No other buzzes, I'll repeat for teams A and C. More often than not, the contingent of moderators running this tournament dislikes challenges. Some moderators, however, enjoy a good challenge. Describe this challenge that has been given to all of this tournament's moderators. Conamini nullis quaestionibus extraneis uti. I'll repeat. More often than not, the contingent of moderators running this tournament dislikes challenges. Some moderators, however, enjoy a good challenge. Describe this challenge that has been given to all of this tournament's moderators. Conamini.
C3.
Try not to use any extraneous questions.
We'll take that, or try not to use any extra questions or replacement questions is correct. Here's your first bonus, Florida. Now, again describe this challenge straight from the moderator's room. Conamini haud nimium juvencos russos haurire. I'll repeat. Now again describe this challenge straight from the moderator's room. Conamini haud nimium juvencos russos haurire. Yes, this is the try not to drink too many Red Bulls challenge. And your second bonus? Now again describe this final challenge, one that we almost fail every year. Conamini ex harena non eici antequam certamen finiatur. Yes, now again describe this final challenge, one that we almost fail every year. Conamini ex harena non eici antequam certamen finiatur. Answer, please.
Try not to be thrown out of the arena before the game ends.
Yeah, the try not to get kicked out of the room or arena challenge. We're still working on this one. So that's the full 20 points for Florida on toss-up 1. We'll move on to toss-up 2. Here's toss-up 2. What author describes the daily rhythms?
C2.
That's incorrect.
A2.
Prudentius is correct. What author describes the daily rhythms of the life of a Christian believer from dawn to night by including 6 hymns sung daily at certain moments in a work titled Kathamerinon Liber? Here's your first bonus, Tennessee. What work of Prudentius derives its name from Greek meaning about the crowns and includes 14 hymns in honor of Christian martyrs? Peristephanon is correct. And your second bonus? What work by Prudentius recounts the dispute around replacing the altar of victory in the Curia? Contra Simacum is correct. So that's the full 20 points for Tennessee on toss-up 2. Here's toss-up 3. What law, which banned owning ships with the...
C1.
That's incorrect.
E4.
Lex Claudia is correct. What law, which banned owning ships with the capacity of more than 300 amphorae, was passed at the start of the Second Punic War and forbade senators from engaging in large-scale overseas commerce? Here's your first bonus, Massachusetts. What law, dated between 339 and 318 BC, formalized the automatic admission of ex-magistrates to the Senate for life? What law, dated between 339 and 318 BC, formalized the automatic admission of ex-magistrates to the Senate for life?
Lex Decia.
No, this is the Lex Owenia. And your second bonus? Lex, and then O-V-I-N-I-A. Here's your second bonus. What early law, sponsored by the consuls of 454 BC, limited the size of fines consuls could impose, as well as letting fines be paid in cattle rather than in bronze? Pardon me, be paid in cattle instead of in bronze. The Lex Eternia Tarpeia is correct, so that's 15 points for Massachusetts on toss-up 3. Moving on to toss-up 4. Audi diligenter et responde latine. Dic, utens aliis verbis, quid significat nix?
C3.
Quid cadit de Caelo ningit.
That's incorrect.
B2.
Praecipitio brumalis.
That's incorrect.
A2.
Quid audit de Kylo. Yamne.
Okay, so I'm thinking this answer is correct, but I wanted to hear what everyone else had to say. Give me 1 second. Yeah, can you repeat your answer, please?
Yeah, quid cadit de Caelo cum ningit.
Quid cadit de Caelo cum ningit. Give us a second, please. Or perhaps more than a second. So C was quid cadit de Caelo cum ningit. B was praecipitio brumalis. And A was
Quid audit de
quid cadit de
Kylo Yamne.
Caelo hieme. Okay, we're going to move on to toss-up 5 with no points awarded as of yet. We'll come back to you on that one, okay? Here's toss-up 5. A son of Hermeion in Thronia is the presumed eponym of what region, which was given to Aegyptus by his father?
B1.
Answer, please. Libya is incorrect. I'll repeat for teams A and C. A son of Hermeion in Thronia is the presumed eponym of what region, which was given to Aegyptus by his father, Belus, and whose king Emathion was...
A2.
That's incorrect. I'll repeat for team C. A son of Hermeion in Thronia is the presumed eponym of what region, which was given to Aegyptus by his father, Belus, and whose king Emathion was killed by Heracles? I'll repeat. A son of Hermeion in Thronia is the presumed eponym of what region, which was given to Aegyptus by his father, Belus, and whose king Emathion was killed by Heracles?
C4.
Egypt is incorrect. We're looking for Arabia. So that's no points for any player on toss-up 5, and we're going to move on to our score check.
Tennessee.
A little bit of a height differential here. So our score after 5 is Team A, Tennessee, has 20 points. Team B, Massachusetts, has 15 points. And Team C, Florida, has 20 points. Remember that toss-up 4 is pending.
Let's go, Alan. Alan, got this, Wyatt.
Okay, we're going to move on to toss-up 6. Toss-up 6. For the verb meo, give the third person plural.
C3.
Meonto.
That's incorrect. For the verb meo, give the third person plural future.
A2.
Answer, please. Time.
B2.
Meantor is correct. Sorry, I called time there. And the answer given over here was meanto. So here's your first bonus, Massachusetts. It was the future passive imperative. Give the third person singular future active imperative of the verb prosum. Give the third person singular future active imperative of the verb prosum. Prodesto is correct. And your second bonus? Give the third person plural future active imperative of the verb inter eo. Give the third person plural future active imperative of the verb inter eo. Inter eunto is correct. So that's the full 20 points for Massachusetts on toss-up 6. We'll move on to toss-up 7. What people, one of whose prophets rode a magical arrow and was named Abaris, included a maiden named Opis?
C4.
The Hyperboreans is correct, and hosted Apollo in the winter in their northern home. Here's your first bonus, Florida. According to Pindar, Heracles received an olive tree from the land of the Hyperboreans and planted it in what city? Where it would be a shade for Zeus's sacred precinct and a crown of glory for men. According to Pindar, Heracles received an olive tree from the land of the Hyperboreans and planted it in what city? Where it would be a shade for Zeus's sacred precinct and a crown of glory for men. Answer? Time. We're looking for Olympia in your second bonus. Opis, together with what other Hyperborean maiden, came to Delos the time of Apollo's and Artemis's births to give offerings to Eileithyia so that Leto would have a painless delivery. Yes. Opis, together with what other Hyperborean maiden, came to Delos at the time of Apollo's and Artemis's births to give offerings to Eileithyia so that Leto would have a painless delivery. Answer, please. No, we're looking for Arga, or Argase. So that's 10 points for Florida on toss-up 7. We'll move on to toss-up 8. Here's toss-up 8. Before the reforms of Marius, members of which Roman social group were, unlike the Assidui, excluded from military service due to their lack of property? I'll repeat.
C1.
Kapitecensi or proletarii is correct. We would also accept the proletariat. Here's your first bonus, Florida. Based on the word's etymology, what was considered the only contribution of the proletarii to the state, since they could not serve in the army? Yeah, bearing children, having children. And your second bonus? Regardless of the number of proletarii in Rome at any given time, how many of the original 193 voting centuries in the Comitia Centuriata did the proletarii make up? Regardless of the number of proletarii in Rome at any given time, how many of the original 193 voting centuries in the Comitia Centuriata did the proletarii make up? No, we're looking for 1. So that's 15 points on toss-up 8 for Florida. We'll move on to toss-up 9. The Aetolian man Hegio,
C2.
Koptiwi is correct, recovers his lost son Philopolemus in what play by Plautus, in which Hegio accidentally trades his long-missing son for Philopolemus in a prisoner exchange. This is Plautus's Koptiwi. Here's your first bonus, Florida. In what comedy of Plautus does an enslaved man dress as a foreigner to sell the parasite Saturio's daughter into feigned slavery for a huge sum, then have Saturio recover her and make off with the money? Hersa is correct in your second bonus. In Plautus's Rudanes, an enslaved man and a fisherman engage in a tug of war over what pimp's sunken chest? Labrax is correct. So that's the full 20 points on toss-up 9 for Florida. We'll move on to toss-up 10, after which we'll have a score check. Toss-up 10. Of the words rogus, quercus, fluvius, reus, and murus, which is being described in the following sentence? Cum aeneas ex carta...
C3.
Rogus is correct. Ex Cartagena desereret, dido in hoc loco se ardebat. Rogus. Here's your first bonus, Florida. From the list in the toss-up, rogus, quercus, fluvius, reus, and murus, which is being described in the following sentence. Haec est res qua aeneas et comites ussi sunt ad pupes novas faciendas. From the list in the toss-up, rogus, quercus, fluvius, reus, and murus, which is being described in the following sentence. Haec est res qua aeneas et comites ussi sunt ad pupes. Answer. Quercus is correct in your second bonus. From the list in the toss-up, rogus, quercus, fluvius, reus, and murus, which is being described in the following sentence. Est qui in lite requirat advocatum aut publicum aut privatum causarum dicendarum gratia. Reus is correct. That's the full 20 points for Florida on toss-up 10. 1 second, please. Okay, so 2 updates, 1 my fault. So the first is on toss-up 4, where we said audi diligenter et responde latine, dic, utens aliis verbis, quid, and then I said significat, nix. The question reads, and this is my fault, quid significat nix, right? It's an indirect question. Because of that, we have to replace the question because it's ingrammatical. So all of the 3 answers are thrown out. I blame the quid anglique significat format, and myself. The other update is that there was a challenge on toss-up 6, which was the toss-up on meantor. The challenge was that meantor could not be passive, but we have determined that it can be passive and therefore can have the form meantor. We're going to get a replacement, but we don't have it yet. Oh, we do have it. Which one is this? Again, my apologies. This is a replacement for toss-up 4. All teams are able to buzz in. Here's toss-up 4. What is the Latin adjective meaning for home?
C3.
That's incorrect.
B2.
That's incorrect. I'll repeat for team A. What is the Latin adjective meaning 400? What is the Latin adjective meaning 400? I've read the question.
A2.
Quadrigentus.
Can you spell that?
Quadrigentus.
No. So we have quadrangenti, You gave quadragesimus or something along those lines, and this one was sempiternus. So that's no points on the replacement for toss-up 4, and we'll get our score check, please. Thanks for your patience. Nothing changed. Correct. We're just looking at this. Okay. After 10, our score is as follows. Team A, Tennessee, has 20 points. Team B, Massachusetts, has 35 points. Team C, Florida, has 85 points. Okay, here's toss-up 11. Listen to the following inscription, which I will read twice as prose, then answer the questions that follow in Latin. Where tibi contribuat sua munera florea grata, et tibi grata comis nutet aestiva voluptas, redat et autumnus baci tibi munera semper, ac leve hiberni tempus tellura dicetur. I'll repeat. Where tibi contribuat sua munera florea grata, et tibi grata comis nutet aestiva voluptas, redat et autumnus baci tibi munera semper, ac leve hiberni tempus tellura dicetur. The question, quae dona contribuat?
C3.
Floreta grata.
Say that again, please.
Floreta grata.
That's incorrect.
A2.
We have Florea grata. Let's check on Floreta grata, please. So, in the meantime, move on. We're going to move on to toss-up 12. So, the answers, just to be perfectly clear, we have Floreta grata. We're good. And Florea grata, which is the answer we have for Tennessee. We're going to accept Tennessee's answer. We don't have Floreta, as I expected, but let's be sure here. Okay, here's your first bonus, Tennessee. Quando vinum reditur? Quando vinum reditur? Answer? Autumno is correct. And your second bonus? Pro his sententiis, quid hieme accedet in terra? Ac leve hiberni tempus tellura dicetur. Answer? No, we need nihil or levia or lewe or some equivalent thereof. So that's 15 points for Tennessee on toss-up 11, and we'll move on to toss-up 12. Here's 12. With support from the Pharisees, what...
C1.
Answer, please. Hyrcanus is correct. What man did Pompey champion over his younger brother, Aristobulus, as claimant to the Judean throne in 64 BC? This is John, or Hyrcanus, or John Hyrcanus. And here's your first bonus, Florida. What Nabatean king also supported John Hyrcanus to the Judean throne? What Nabatean king also supported John Hyrcanus to the Judean throne? Aretas, or Aretas III, is correct. And your second bonus? What socio-religious sect of the Jewish people, generally contrasted with the Pharisees, doctrinally, supported Aristobulus to the throne? The Sadducees are correct. That's the full 20 points for Florida on toss-up 12, and we'll move on to toss-up 13. What author, who repeatedly used the technique of apros doketon to end poems, claimed hominem pagina no...
C2.
Marshall is correct. Pagina Nostra sapit in a collection whose 12th and final book was written just before his death at Bilbilis. Here's your first bonus, Florida. Marshall credited a number of auctores as inspirations, including Domitius Marsus, who wrote a poignant epigram on what author's death in 19 BC. Tibullus is correct in your second bonus. Marshall also cited as an auctor what other author, who wrote an epic that probably covered Germanicus's expeditions near the North Sea. Albinovanus Paedo is correct, so that's the full 20 points for Florida on toss-up 13. We'll move on to toss-up 14. Only prayers by Iacchus relieved the
E1.
Stymphalis is correct. Relieved the infertility that the gods leveled on Greece after the death of what man, whose limbs were impiously scattered by his murderer, Pelops. Here's your first bonus, Massachusetts. Another explanation of the infertility was the treacherous murder of what man, who in one story was killed by an ambush at Thebes after winning all the events at the Pan-Athenaic Games. Androgeus is correct in your second bonus. What man was said by the people of Stymphalis to have reared Hera and given her 3 names, maiden, bride, and widow, at various points of her life? Yes. What man was said by the people of Stymphalis to have reared Hera and given her 3 names, maiden, bride, and widow, at various points of her life? Answer, please. No, sorry, we're looking for Temenus. Temenus. So that's 15 points for Massachusetts on toss-up 14. We'll move on to toss-up 15. Susan Shearer is known for the cane she used for many years. As a result, the first World Series of Certamen trophy was the Shearer stick, which underwent many changes over the years as each team added to it. Using baculum for stick, say in Latin, that stick has been changed so much that I don't recognize.
E2.
Please complete your answer. That's incorrect.
C3.
Illud baculum adeo tot tatum est ut id non iam vegnoscerem.
Can you repeat your last word, please?
Vegnoscerem.
That's incorrect. I'll repeat for Team A. Susan Shearer is known for the cane she used for many years. As a result, the first World Series of Certamen trophy was the Shearer stick, which underwent many changes over the years as each team added to it. Using baculum for stick, say in Latin, that stick has been changed so much that I don't recognize it. I'll repeat. Susan Shearer is known for the cane she used for many years. As a result, the first World Series of Certamen trophy was the Shearer stick, which underwent many changes over the years as each team added to it. Using baculum for stick, say in Latin, that stick has been changed so much that I don't recognize it.
A2.
Baculum mutatum est adeo, ut non id agnosam.
That's what we've got on the page. We may be looking at other answers. Shall I repeat? Yes, so to be clear, the player from Team C said hoc baculum, and he gave a form of tom or adeo or tantum, I think it was tantum. Adeo, mutatum est, ut non hoc,
It was id non iam regnoscerem.
non iam regnoscerem. Okay, we're going to go with team A. Okay, sorry about that. Here's your first bonus. Using a supine, translate into Latin. We no longer use the stick because it was very difficult to carry. Using a supine, translate into Latin. We no longer use the stick because it was... Answer?
No, oculum, quod, id, erat, vicale, portatu.
No, you said utimus instead of utimor, and you said difficula instead of difficulum. Here's your second bonus. The shearer stick, which was used for a decade, has been replaced by a large trophy of a thumb of approval. Using approbatio for approval, say in Latin, perhaps we will use the thumb of approval for 10 years.
Please repeat.
The shearer stick, which was used for a decade, has been replaced by a large trophy. Answer, please.
Forsitan, demor, approbatione, baculi, decem annos.
No, so you said bacali instead of polica, among other issues, and you said utamor when forsitan takes the subjunctive. So it would be utamor. So that's 10 points for Tennessee on 15. We'll go on to our score check, please. Okay, our score with 5 to go is as follows. Team A, Tennessee, has 45 points. Team B, Massachusetts, has 50 points. Team C, Florida, has 125 points. Okay, we're going to move on to toss-up 16. Well, we'll let people filter in first. Okay, here's toss-up 16. What suffix is added to forms of the nouns ops, signum, look?
B2.
Fair is correct. Looks and aquila to indicate someone is carrying those things. Here's your first bonus, Massachusetts. Using a different suffix with the same meaning, what Latin word means one who bears defensive military gear, such as a shield? Armiger is correct. And your second bonus? The suffix arius can denote someone associated with another root Latin noun. Based on the epithet culicarius, what was Apollo thought to ward off? Gnats or mosquitoes or midges or flies is correct. So that's the full 20 points on toss-up 16 to Massachusetts. Here's toss-up 17. This is the longest intro for a toss-up question ever. Okay, you may now open your visuals. You have 5 seconds to inspect them. Before you is a sampling of Latin works. In fact, a list of 15 works all beginning with the preposition de. Which of these works, written by an author who was a tribune in the Legio Sexta Ferrata,
A2.
De Arboribus is correct. The Legio Sexta Ferrata and stationed in Syria fills in a theme neglected by Virgil in its section De Cultu Hortorum. Here's your first bonus, Tennessee. Which of these works was written by an author who claims in Book 5 of that work that he established a basilica at the ancient town of Faunum Fortunae? De Architectura is correct in your second bonus. To what friend of Seneca the Younger was his De Beneficiis dedicated? Aebutius Liberalis is correct, so that's the full 20 points for Tennessee on toss-up 17. And we'll hold up the visuals, please, for the audience. Which of you got the signed copy? Oh, C4. Okay, we're going to move on to toss-up 18. Here's toss-up 18. Who became the first man to be chosen as emperor by non-Roman?
B4.
Avitus is correct, as emperor by non-Romans thanks to the support of the Visigothic king Theodoric II, but was quickly rejected by Gaiseric and the Romans themselves, who favored Majorian. Here's your first bonus, Massachusetts. At what Visigothic capital was Avitus first proclaimed emperor in July of 455 AD, before being officially confirmed at Arles? At what Visigothic capital was Avitus first proclaimed emperor in July of 455 AD, before being officially confirmed at Arles? No, not Ravenna, Toulouse. And your second bonus? What contemporary Eastern Roman emperor formally recognized Avitus as emperor? What contemporary Eastern Roman emperor formally recognized Avitus as emperor? Answer, please.
I defer to B4.
No, not Theodosius II. We're looking for Marcian. So that's 10 points on toss-up 18 for Massachusetts. We're going to move on to toss-up 19. Which two of the following 5 words are derived from the same Latin root? Lucrative, reluctant, luxury?
B2.
Answer, please.
C2.
That's incorrect.
A1.
No, we're looking for reluctant and luxury. The full list was lucrative, reluctant, luxury, prolix, lucubrate. So that is no points on toss-up 19. We'll hold before toss-up 20. But I'll read the score. Okay, the pending score, or the provisional score rather, going into the final toss-up is as follows. Team A, Tennessee, has 65 points. Team B, Massachusetts, has 80 points. Team C, Florida, has 125 points. Okay, there are no active outstanding checks at this point, but if any coach should wish to make one, now is the time. I'll give you a few seconds to make your way towards Mr. Andino. That was a few seconds. Okay, here we go. This is toss-up 20. What grandson of Hypsius, who was worshipped on the island of Chios as
A2.
Aristeas is correct, as a god of the cooling Etesian winds, once made an atoning sacrifice of bulls to the Dryads in Orpheus that was left to rot for 9 days. Here's your first bonus, Tennessee. Aristeas was also worshipped as a god under the epithets Agrius and Nomius. What do these epithets mean? Is that your complete answer?
Shepherd.
Hunter and shepherd is correct. Here's your second bonus. Near what Thracian mountain did Aristeas live before disappearing at the end of his life? Mount Hymus is correct. That's the full 20 points on toss-up 20 for Tennessee. Can we have our final score, please? Our final scores are as follows. In third place with 80 points, it's Team B, Massachusetts. In second place with 85 points, it's Team A, Tennessee. And the champions of Advanced Division 2022 NJCL Certamen is Florida with 125 points.